We are on the TSL Online Wednesday night call. And on this Wednesday night call, we're talking about body language, subcommunications, and how to communicate with your body. Now, this is something that gets asked a lot, so much to the point where we made an article, which is kind of like the resource to it. And that's at thesexuallife.com/126. And within that, there's like a shit ton of resources. So there's another podcast you can listen to, and there's like a lesson that goes off of it. And man, it's just crazy. There's a whole bunch of layers to it. It was like this really rich article that went to it. But the problem with this is people might read something and they go, oh, that sounds cool, but you got to try it. Okay. You have to try it. And so we're going to get into some specifics, or maybe perhaps refresh your brain on why you need to try it. Now, if you're into social dynamics, if you're into talking to women, pick up, anything like that, you have to get down the nonverbals. You have to get down the body language, or else you're always going to be looking for something. And you're going to be looking for something and looking for this like magic pill or magic wand or this thing to say, this system, the right verbal, whatever. And that's just the wrong direction. So much of the time, it comes down to your body and the other person's body. And I'll tell you this, the only way you're going to get good at reading people isn't going to come from technically mapping out. You know, it's like we try and do this, the IOIs. Oh, she flipped her hair, or she, touched her face, or some shit like that. And that means this: somebody who is skilled with experience can start to categorize those things and break them down. But if you don't have experience and you start to look and you try and work the backwards route, or the route that kind of makes sense in how you may have gone to school or gotten your degree or learned something else, is not the way that it works when it comes down to anything social, really. But you're not going to reverse engineer it and like, oh, well, she flipped her hair at this route. I would actually say, don't fucking notice that shit. That'll fuck you up. That'll wreck your world, right? That'll totally fuck it up. And the thing is that where I would say to start is where we started. So back in like 2006, this is what happened. We'd go to a bar and we would spend the whole night with one of these different things. And I used to write this down when I teach like one-on-ones to people. And I actually forget, there's the verbal, there's the eye contact, the tonality, the facial expressions, the pacing and cadence. So it's almost like the scheduling of it. There's obviously the touch, and then there's the distance between your bodies and relationships for that. So you want to work on all these different things. Well, here it's pretty simple. Go to a bar one night out of the week and try and just have passable conversation. You could even make the conversation consistent if you want to be like super nerdy about it, but have passable conversation and try and stand too close to somebody. What happens when they stand too close? They get nervous, but can you calm them down when they start to move back? Can you move closer? And just to the point where it's a little bit uneasy. Can you do that? Right? And what you'll have to do is you'll have to have a calmer tonality. Probably your facial expressions will have to be a little bit more friendly. Your eye contact is going to have to hold a little bit more. But in order for you to be one of those close talkers, like Billy on Seinfeld, or Billy from Beverly Hills Cop when he was on Seinfeld. You guys remember? That shit? But anyway, if you're a close talker, what do you have to do to maintain that? Because you can make it happen. And this was like a fun game. I don't want to do it now because it's novelty and stupid and doesn't serve actual socialization. But when you're trying to learn something and you see how much you affect somebody, it's pretty fucking amazing. Then do the opposite. Try and stand too far away. Guess what happens? You have to be louder. Your facial expressions have to be bigger, more dramatic. You have to rock in and out and move, and maybe even use your hands to gesture and all these different things to get somebody to pay attention to you. But man, it's fucking amazing. It's unreal. All right. So what happens then if you stand too far away but talk light? So if you talk at a lower tonality, that's just too hard. What happens then? Man, what would you have to do? You'd have to have bigger facial expressions. The best experience that came out of like doing this stuff was when I stood too far away and talked to somebody at a normal tonality. Guess what happened? They came closer to me. They would just be drawn in. And the better I was, now this is a little bit down the road, the better I got at telling stories and talking to people, then the more that they would actually come and follow where I was going. I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. This is social dynamics. I'm influencing people. And then after you do it like 2 or 3 times, like, okay, I get it. And it just starts to move into your social language. But what happens when you just start talking gibberish? And this is like true story shit, man. We used to go up to people and not make complete sentences and just be like, oh man, I saw like Kool-Aid and like white. It was like crazy. And just say shit like that and try and maintain attention. So what would we be using then? We try and get close. We'd rock in and out. We'd have facial expressions, a lot of touching, a lot of like command touching or touching that gets somebody's attention, which would be stuff like shoulders or just if you place your finger, on, or even like this when I'm talking and just barrier off something. It's like if the whole club's this way and there's a wall this way, I might be like, oh, man, this is the craziest thing. Like, do you ever think, just stupid shit like this, right? So the thing is that we would do that and we'd try and make something happen. It was like a fun, cool game. It was a true social experiment. And the best part of it was back then in 2006, 2007, I was just getting started, right? And I didn't want to be in a club environment. I didn't like him. And so to me, this helped pass the time. It was really cool. It was really amazing to see how influential it was. And then when the time came when I started to get to know sex and understand sex and get that sex was this language that was within the body, because the body doesn't lie, man. The body is going to be the absolute best form of communication to read and to implement, hands down. When people say like, oh, well, nonverbals are 70% or not, like nobody knows that. You can't fucking measure that. And that's so wrong just in the sense that like, okay, when you first meet somebody or 30 seconds after you get to know them or when their guard goes down or when you find out something personal about them and you're in rapport or when you're sexual, like what part of the social, are we talking here? Because it's just such a rough bullshit estimate. But the body is important and the body does not lie. Somebody can be verbally lying to you. They can tell you what they want. They can tell you they don't want to have sex. They can tell you they're not attracted to you. But there's certain cues in their body which are actually speaking to you. The only way you're going to get that is from experience. So like I said, I was trying all this weird, hokey stuff. And it's not hokey. It's actually very legitimate. You should try it. I was trying it all out. I was like tenacious about it. It was fun to do. And I went and did it. And by the time that I did get sexual, I was then willing to try some more shit. So let's talk about that. As soon as I started to get sexual, I'd start to notice guys that were naturally good with women. And it was so funny because back then, let's say that 2008 time, there was like this whole spin that RSD did on naturals, right? And so then all these other motherfuckers, these marketers were talking about naturals and they'd be like, we followed around the best pickup artists and the best naturals and we analyzed it's all this bullshit, right? But I would watch these natural guys and how they actually talk to women, how they use their body language, how they would grab them, where they would grab, what they would do, when the women broke, and I was good at seeing sex because I was having it and I could see when their faces changed. So I'd try and repeat it and I do it and I was tenacious about it. So, these were some of the things. Touch their shoulder. That's attention. That's command. Even to put my arm out and extend it and not touch them, or just have my two fingers touching their arm or their shoulder, not just my hand, which is another thing, but all that's command. And what happened when I pulled somebody? What happened when I yanked them? What happened when I yanked them and gave a facial expression like that? What happened when I yanked their belt? What happened when they're wearing jeans and I grabbed the inside of their jeans right in front of their crotch and pulled them? What happened when I grabbed their ass? What happened when I was in public and I slapped their ass? What did these things do? And the things that were the most important, that I was willing to try, social enough to work around, we're about to release that dick pic thing. The thing about the dick pic is like, there's a certain point when you send it, you're going to offend most people. Some people might like it, but most people are going to be offended. Your job then is to calm that down. Anytime you grab a girl, you grab her by the pants, you grab her by the back, you pull her to you. You grab by the neck and pull her to you and have her head tilt back. There is a flash where she's upset. It'll look like this. It'll be like this. Like it'll be a shock. It'll shock. And if she calms from that, boom, sexuality light. Cut all rapport, cut whatever, go logistics. If she can't leave right now, then you can stop talking to her. Go find her at the end of the night and end up in the same car with her. There's tons of stuff on that. Look at all the TSL 144, or the Sexual Life 144, 142, 143. Those ones all talk about that shit, like how you can work from there. It's just pure logistics mode at that point. But the thing is is you have to be willing to try it. If you're not speaking the language of the body and the basics of getting too close, of rocking in and out, of touching, of the basic stuff of using your facial expressions, using your tonality, trying to talk too loud, trying to talk too soft, staying too far away, getting too close, touching all the time, overly touching, being touchy-feely, grab a hand and hold on to it and try and hold a conversation with everybody that you meet, and see what works and see what doesn't. The thing is you can read about it, you can analyze all that stuff, but you have to learn experientially, because when it comes time to triggering sexually with the body, which is the best, fastest, quickest way, and you're going to have to at some point, even if you do have a heavy verbal game, because here at TSL, we learn rapport first because it's just the safest ground. But at some point, you're going to have to get physical. If you learn that physical game, man, it opens up the door. Man, I could just be like, hey, what's your name? And if a girl does this and she says, hey, what's your name? I bet you I'd still do this to this day. If she comes up and she goes, oh, whatever, and she grabs me and swats my chest, some of the girls do, I will instinctually grab her hand and pull her. Why? Because I've just done it so many times, and that's just the cue move for it. It's not the move, but it's something that I would do all the time, because as soon as I grabbed it and pulled her to me and gave her kind of a serious look, and she was like shocked and then calmed down, it'll happen within 1.5 seconds of like, if you get that, then it's like, oh, logistics. Cool. I don't even need to know your name, but when you start speaking with the body, it is so, so much better. So try that out. Try out talking too soft, getting too close, talking too loud, staying far away, mix and matching them, touching all the time, touching over and over again, touching and holding somebody's hand, something like that. Over eye contact with different, tilts of your head or concern, different body languages and stances, trying to move while talking. Another thing is I tell a story and like move back or whatever it would be. And if they followed me, it's just to see what would work. It actually didn't necessarily mean much, just to see if it would work, because then I could put it in some sort of dynamic and make it work. In any case, if you want to learn how to make it really sexual, go to sexuallife.com 126 and study that. Those resources are there for you to do, and I wish more people would do them. I want more people to do them. I don't want just people that sign up for the courses to do them. I want everybody to do them, but you got to commit to it. It's good shit, man. It will fucking hands down work. Anyway, enough talking.